to be moving forwards, like we both said, like where you've got to be doing stuff that you're enjoying,
Yeah.
and more importantly, doing stuff you enjoy with people you enjoy doing it with.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, I think there's a big part of dealing with grief is knowing who's gonna stick by you.
Yeah.
And you know, for me, when I was dealing with that grief, it really showed me who my friends are. And now I know because I know the people that stuck by me with me and helped me through it.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate that. And because of that, I now know who I can trust. So in that way, that's a real good thing, you know, in a real skewed way of looking at it.
Yeah, I mean that's funny you say that because I remember the day when I was upset and you looked at me and you were like you knew something was up. You're walking up with Ethan and you kind of like something was up. And then I pulled you away and then and so was everyone else. Everyone was very very caring. And I think if you have those people in your life, then life will do you well in a sense. Like if you have friends you can
Yeah,
trust
man.
and you have those people beside you. I mean, there's you know, never, if you've got things on your mind or like you're dealing with things, don't always resort to your friends. Like talking is probably the best way of getting grief off you because you get it out, you get it off your shoulders. But at the end of the day, we're all human, and if you put a lot on your friend, it could affect them. So how to
That is
balance
true.
that is what I said before. Go out, have a run, have a walk. I like to box. I like to do kung fu now and then in my room, or hit on the boxing bag, and that gets a lot. Even if my day's gone good, sometimes, to me, I think every day will have a balance of
Yeah.
a bit of negative and if you've had an amazing day, you're going to have positive, but there's always that little bit of negative that can come in. You want to just get that out.
Yeah.
And that's what, and I say it's good to have negatives. It's good to have negatives in your life because the only way you're going to grow in life is learn. And for you to learn, you've got to have those negative moments. Because if you do proceed to get those negative moments, you take it. You're like, okay, how can I make this positive? How are there ways of getting around that? And if you can get past that, you can pretty much get through any barrier in life if you think about it.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people who have grown up and haven't really experienced a lot of and that didn't really prepare you properly as a person for the real
No.
world. The people that grow up haven't lost anyone, have, you know, failed at getting into their college, you know, parents that just do sort of people are the people that when hit
Yeah.
how to process that, and it can hit them a lot harder, which is, you know, as a kid, I think you have to be exposed to the negative so you can truly appreciate the positive of that.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that because, especially, I think it will help you a lot in your adulthood.
Yeah.
You know, your childhood is the most important part of your life. That is where you experience new things and you grow up to become an adult, and that's when you become an adult, that's when your life really starts and you can go off onto your own path and do what you want.
Yeah.
So don't think that if you have a negative, and this is to if you're 10 years old or you're old and you're 60 to 70 and you have a negative in your life, it's good. I think one of the biggest negative I had, especially last year, was a breakup. I'm not going to get into too much detail about that because that is pretty private, but I'll say that, you know, things happen when you've been with someone for quite a long time. Things happen out of nowhere, and that's the thing with life. Things will hit you out of nowhere. You can never be prepared for it.
Yeah.
It was just one of those things where it just came out of nowhere, and when your mindset is not ready for that, when you think everything's going well, and then it all just, you know, you're kind of, when you're happy, your heart is bouncing on like all the good things that are happening in your life, and then when a massive event comes in and is destroyed, what you're bouncing on is nothing. It's trying to find something good to latch onto and enjoy. And I think that's the thing, that when that event happened, it gave me time to reflect on myself. It gave me time to try new things. Me and Oren, we came up. We started a business, which I thought I would never do in a million years, because I had time to do it.
By the way, that was such a good decision for both of us, I think.
Because I mean, the thing is, and this whole business venture happened all because of, I saw Oren doing his tie-dyes, and I messaged him and was going to be like, look, let's make a website, let's get this to something, and if you put enough time and work and effort onto it, you'll make a couple of mistakes on the way. Like, we had our first like section of the business, we called it AJ's Clothing. It went okay, but it just didn't show our brand off well enough. And then our second section of the business is the chippy hippie tie-dye, and it shows off our business more. And it's doing, like, it's not doing, like, we're not getting hundreds and hundreds of sales every day, but we've got enough to potentially hopefully make a profit, and hopefully extend it more. We have the option, hopefully, to start up a little shack, a little hut thing.
Yes.
Which and this is with everything. If you put your mind to something and you put enough work into it, you can pretty much achieve anything. You can't, or I can't do this. You can do it. You just got to put your mind to it, work hard, and you can achieve it. And that's the same with the business. Like, me and Owen were so, like, we were really into it. We put all the work into it, and it was tough. It was hard work. But at the end of it, it is. Well, it is still hard work, and that's right. It will always be. It's always going to be tough. But the more work you put into it, and the more time you spend on it, the less harder it will be, because you'll get used to it.
I agree. I think that in life, I think when you're putting energy out, whether it be for you're making music and you want your music career to go off and you're putting energy into that, or you want a sports career, or whatever you want to do in life, if you want to achieve it, you have to put that energy in, because when you put that energy out, the universe will hear that, and it will recognize that you're putting that energy out, and that when it recognizes that, it will reward you in turn with what you want. But you can't just do nothing and expect to get what you want.
Yeah.
You can't do nothing and expect your dreams to come true. You have to work for that shit.
Yeah.
Like, you have to work hard for that shit.
Yeah.
I mean,
you see a lot. You'll see people that you'll see a lot of people that have come from a wealthy family. It's a little bit easier for them because they kind of have the money there. Do you know what I mean? But it's not all about that. If you're wanting to start up a business, it's not really about the money. Yes, I mean, you'll have to invest into your business, of course, to achieve the product you want. But you just need the creative process is probably the most important and probably the most fun process of creating the business, because yes, you do have to put quite a bit into it, of course.
Yeah.
But how you put your money into your business is how the creative process. It's all down to what you want to sell, what type of audience you want, and that could be, you know, if you wanted to start a band or whatever. It's kind of the same thing. It's just like, just make the most out of that creative process, because it's the journey to get into it's the journey to get into the success, which is the most fun bit. Like, you know, because there'll be stressful moments. There will be we got a follow, Arctic Society. Thank you for the follow, buddy. Welcome to the Chills podcast. Thank you very much, mate. Welcome. But yeah, so so if you're starting a band, a business, whatever, it's that creative process.
There's always like a set of things that you've got to do, and there's always a process to getting what you want. And it's about, I think it's partly about planning out what you want to do, and then how you're going to achieve it. And then you got to put that energy in, you got to do all what you want, and then that will shine back. That will shine back, 100% it will.
Because, as I said, you know, with the business me and Owen made, I was literally just thinking of, you know, Owen doing that, because Owen he can make an amazing tie-dye. So I'm like, we've got the creator, we've got the product maker, we've got that. So, you know, I never went through business in school. I never did any of that because it wasn't something I focused on from the future. And that's another thing, like, what you want to do, especially, you know, especially when you're a teenager, your mind is going through, I want to do this, oh no, but I want to do that, I want to, you know, you want to do so many things. So I was like, you know, let's give it a go. Let's, you know, I know some business, you know, things, because my dad owns a business, so I don't know everything, but I know some few pointers in that
basis.
But with that, you know, I've learned more about business than I thought I ever would, and it's not a lot. Like, I'm not saying I could just go and start another business like that, but I've learned more. I've learned something new.
Yeah, it's a definite experience, and I think both of us have learned a lot about what it takes. I mean, like, I still have no idea about the numbers side. No. But looking at what you do, it definitely like has introduced me and has taught me a lot of things. And I think that's another rule with life, is that you've got to take the lessons when they come, and you've got to find the lessons as well. Like, you won't always see the lesson, but like, you've just got to find the lesson. If you can't find the lesson the universe is telling you, then you'll never really go forward. I think the universe is always trying to tell you shit. And I think the universe is always trying to teach you and help you grow as a person. And I think whether it be going through a hard breakup, whether it be losing someone, whether it be getting denied by your college, those are just hiccups, and those are lessons that if you can learn from, you'll be a better and stronger person afterwards, I think.
Yeah, no, I definitely, that is something I definitely agree with, because, you know, through us making the business, through, you know, unfortunately losing people, these are all life-changing moments, these are all life-changing experience. And, you know, when you're going through, you know, I think of life as just one long road with many turn-offs, and your brain, you know, your brain is on a good track, and then something happens and it just takes you off to another track, and you don't know where you're going, don't know where you are, but you got to kind of, how I think of growing from that is kind of, you know, creating like, you know, buildings and the sky and the forests, and that's how I think of good things coming out of it, because and we've all had that when we're going down the road, but life is good, and then things happen, and then you're going down a completely different road that you don't know where you're going, but you have to just slow down, get yourself together, reflect on things, and try and bring things that the road you're on before onto the new road now. And as I said, you know, try something new. You know, try something new from the new path you're on.
No, I agree. Like, there's for all you guys out there, I think you've just got to remember that there's always something for you. Like, whatever happens, there is a way forward that you can find. Like, no, I don't think there are many situations out there where there is literally no way forwards. You know, there is almost always a way out, and that's something you've got to remember. And even if it's really hard to find that way out, and it seems impossible, I believe, and I'm sure Jude will also agree with me that there's always a way forwards. You know, you'll find that way. You've just got to keep looking, and then once you find that, it might be the best thing that ever happened to you. You never know.
Yeah.
Like,
Never go through life trying to work out what life is about and why you're here.
yeah,
Because I've talked to people that have asked me that question, and you could think about what life is throughout your whole life. You won't get the answer. No one can physically get the answer. Your life is there. You're here to create your path. You know, you could think of what you're going to do tomorrow, for instance, but the day could completely change to a little event that may occur. So, and with me, I used to, I kind of had things planned. Everything was kind of going well, and things are going amazing right now. But before I had like a job, I was a apprentice junior chef.
yeah.
At a restaurant. I was there for four months, something like that. And at the end of it, well, not at the end of it, but midway through it, I knew it wasn't for me, and I quit. I left. It just wasn't for me. It just wasn't at the right time, and it just didn't feel right.
Yeah.
Especially the community in that. I mean, there were lovely people, but especially my chef. She just wasn't the right mentor.
I think you meant. I think I remember you mentioning that his boss was an absolute arse. Like, thought she was Gordon Ramsay. Why? To be fair, I do not understand, right, why Western chefs feel the need to yell at their subordinates, like their sous chefs and whatnot.
Yeah.
I don't understand why they feel the need to do that, because, like, for example, if you go to a Japanese restaurant, right, there is no yelling. There is no shouting, insulting. There is none of that. It's literally just really peaceful. They're all very skilled. They're all just doing their craft, and it's really cool to watch. I was watching this show on Amazon Prime called James May in Japan or something like that, and it was just James May being James May, so an icon, and just going around Japan. It was a real good show, but at one point he went to a restaurant and made that point, and it really made me think, like, what's the point? They're just spreading loads of negativity now by this point,
Yeah, I mean, the food industry is a very, very, very confusing.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
so?
I was expected to I was expecting it to be tough. A lot of mentors are. It's just how the food industry is. It's like, at the end of the day, and I'd never really think of this, and no chefs really do. But at the end of the day, you're serving food to them, and they're digesting it. You got to make sure that everything's cooked perfect. Everything's coming out warm. The dishes you're sending out. If people order three of one dish, you got to make sure that it's coming out the exact same. Nothing's different. Nothing's added. Nothing's less on the plate.
Yeah.
Everything has to be perfect. The issue I had, I'm not gonna say the restaurant, because I don't want it, because they are very, very talented. They send out very, very good food. But I was the youngest there. Everyone else was 19, 20 plus, basically. So I was the youngest there. I was 16 when I started. So, this was my first time coming into, like, actually coming in as an apprentice chef. Now, what kind of struck me was the first week, fine, loved it. Came back, feel really, really good. I started off on the basics, which was fine. I started off just, preparing the veg, going through fridges, making sure the stock was right, ordering in products we needed, going through lists, which was fine. And then my mentor was very, very kind. She was very, very, very kind and nice. But as the weeks go on, you start to go up levels, basically. And people think that if you're you basically if you're like a sous chef or like a line chef, if you're that high up on the chef chain, you won't be getting yelled at. You're not responsible for as much as you're not responsible to the food you put out. But really, the higher up the higher up the chain you are, you will get punished more if you make mistakes, because you're expected to not make those mistakes at that level. I think the first time it really got to me, I had to cut. I cut basically it came 25 kg bags of potatoes, which all had to be peeled and cut to a precise measurement, because they all had to cook the same. And then what happened was this was my first time doing it, and I cut them up, measured them, weighed them, make sure they're all good, and then you'd have to boil them, blanch them, and that's when you're cooking something for a certain amount of time, so it just cooks the inside basically, and not the outside. If you cook it too long, you're going to overcook and the potato will fall apart. I put the potatoes in the pot. I went off for lunch, as we all do, around before the evening service. We go off, we all sit down and have dinner. And I left those potatoes in the pot. They're boiling away and falling apart.
No.
I come back and there are 2 massive cauldrons of potatoes. I go to the sink. I empty them out, and it's just mush. My mentor comes out, and first of all, I did not get paid that day because of what I did. And I had the yelling like I've never been yelled at before. I've been yelled at, but nothing like that.
Jeez.
Which, at the end of the day, the next day it made sense, because it was her products, and I've just wasted around 40-50 quid of her products. It was my responsibility to check on that. I should have waited or not have put them in yet. It was just damn. This is the food issue.
But going back to that topic. Working in shit environments like that, where your boss is a prick to you, or it's not quite what you want.
Yeah.
That can have a huge impact on your mental health.
It did.
Exactly. I've only actually worked at one place so far, and when they hired me, they didn't actually tell me it was only over the Christmas period. They just hired me under the pretense I would be a washer and waiter. And I did nothing wrong except from drop some poppadoms, which cost them about 50p. And literally they just didn't call me ever again after a couple weeks after Christmas. They just haven't called me.
Yeah.
So, I think that level of disrespect wasn't very fun. However, I think if you don't care about me that much, that you're just not going to give me a reason, then I don't want to be working for you anyway. So,
yeah, that was very. So if you guys don't know, we have a you're not gonna know if you don't live near where we live in Kent, but there's this. It was a Chinese takeaway restaurant, was it, or just
It was Indian. It was Indian.
And so you were a pot washer, and what was very, and this is what you should never know. This is what you should never do. Owning any business, is how you fire someone, and how they did it was very, very, very disrespectful. I think you. Yeah,
they just didn't talk to me. I mean, if I'd have done something wrong and they would have been like, yeah, you done fucked up, mate, don't come back.
Yeah.
I would have actually preferred that than just the literal silent treatment like a 4-year-old.
Yeah, yeah.
You know.
I mean, that's funny because my first ever job, I was around maybe 10, 11 years old, I think.
Yeah.
And it was down at the Whitstable Boating Company. I think I might have told you this once. But, so it was down at the Whitstable Boating Company, just by Long Beach. And I was basically... It was basically just like a water sports, like, so children and teenagers, they would come down and they'd head out kayaking, they'd go on the paddle boards, they'd go on, they go on sailing, but I'd take them out sailing and that. And there was an incident that got me, this was I was only with that job facility place for like 2 weeks. And how I got fired was pretty, and I got usually a 10, 11-year-old would just be like, but this is pretty funny. So, there was a day where it was basically another children that come down and they have like a day on the water, and my friends come down and they're in like the it was like a water day thing that they came down and they were part of it, and I didn't know, and it was my responsibility, especially when they go on the water, to make sure they're okay. That I would help and that. And at the end, coming to the end of the day, we put out this massive inflatable. It's like a massive bowl, basically, a massive inflatable bowl that are together, like two of them that are out on the sea, and you go in and you just have fun. And I was kayaking around, and I saw my friends in there, and I was like, okay, I'll swim up. I'll just make sure everyone's doing okay. And I kind of just forgot I was actually working. I just started playing around, and apparently, I don't know if this is true, but apparently I pushed someone off, and they hit their head on the buoy.
Ooh,
so
that would come back bad on them, wouldn't it?
Yeah. So I got called in at the end of the day, and his name was Patrick, and he literally just said, like, listen, just don't come back again, please do not come back again. And I still have the T-shirt that I wore. It still fits me somehow, but I still have the T-shirt, the Whitstable Boating Company T-shirt, and I still wear it now and then. But no, I'm still
nice.
I'm on good terms with Patrick. I've seen him before. We're on good terms, but that was the first time I got fired, and I've told my friends about this, and it's so weird to know a 10-year-old. You wouldn't think of it as a 10, 11-year-old getting fired.
That is true, and I also thought that's actually really interesting though, that you actually got hired for a job that sounds like it was similar to like a lifeguarding position.
Yeah,
you know, as like a 10, 11-year-old, because that kind of puts you in the position where you need to be, potentially saving people that are a lot bigger than you are.
Yeah, I mean, I've grown up by the water my entire life. Like, I know, especially Whitstable, I know the in and outs of the Whitstable, of the sea and that. The reason how I got, I think, especially the age I was at, I had too many jobs and that. Like, it wasn't just like, oh yeah, go do the washing up or whatever. They were like jobs.
Yeah.
That when I got fired, and this kind of relates to the life-changing moments, because I even just getting jobs at a young age, it kind of really changed me, and it kind of made me feel older, in a sense. I had my first proper job was the Forge. That was my first job.
I remember you working there. Yeah, I remember you working.
Before I continue, have you got any songs, mate, that you want to suggest putting on? Because the Big Les is just finished. So do you got any songs?
Oh, yeah. So it just came out. I hope you don't get copyrighted or anything. But look up
Twitch
Atlas.
Atlas, okay.
Atlas by AC30. That'll probably be a good one if we're taking a break.
Yeah,
You know, it's
we'll take a little break, guys. We roughly around 10-15 minutes. It's just for us to have a little break and get things set up for the next section of the stream. Who's it by? Sorry.
AC13 in caps.
AC 13. Ah, yep, I got you.
You got the one? You got the one?
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
you like the song actually.
Cool. Well,
But yeah.
so yeah, it says A3 and then King Deepfield. AC13.
Maybe.
Well,
You gotta double check that.
is it a single?
It came out this year, so.
Okay, if it well, it's yeah,
It's
well,
this year.
it's by SC13. But yeah, guys. So just to give you just a bit of further notes. So with the stream, how it runs is we have like so yeah, basically yeah. So it's been like 33 minutes. Every like 35 minutes or so, we have like a break, just to get the next segment ready. We also have I know you don't know about this, but we also have a new segment in the stream. Then it's called kind of like, so I've set up a thing called the Chills Radio. And that is on live, and a couple of you actually came and listened to it and actually rated it, which I really appreciate.
Yeah.
It's basically where if I'm not online and streaming, I'll just put on the Chills Radio, and it's this. I'll show you the backdrop to it. I've just put it on now. I think it's pretty relaxing, and it's basically I will just put on a playlist of chill, relaxing songs, maybe a bit of drum and bass, just a random selection really. So what you're seeing now is just a little backdrop gif of the mountains and someone having a rave in the mountains.
Lovely.
But what we also do when I am live, and we are live, sorry, on the radio show scene, we will showcase some songs that our friends have done. Now, we've got now some of these tracks have been out for quite a while, but these are kind of it's kind of just to show off the songs. Ellis Martin, Callum McEwen.
Oh, lovely.
We've got some of those songs that we're going to showcase. But in the meantime, guys, we're going to be playing Atlas by AC13. So we'll be back in about 10-15 minutes. See you in a bit.
Awesome. See you in a bit, guys.
This is the end, beautiful friend. This is the end, my only friend. The end of our elaborate plans. The end of everything that stands. The end, no safety or surprise. The end, I'll never look into your eyes again.
Cool, and we are back. Hello guys, welcome
Hell
back.
yeah.
For all the streams, had little breaks to freshen up, get some water, go to the toilet, all of that good stuff. So if you guys did miss, also this is another thing, if you guys miss any part of the podcast, it is also being recorded and it will be uploaded to the Chills podcast on YouTube.
Oh, we have a YouTube. Awesome.
Yeah.
Nice.
So if you guys
Epic.
do miss any podcasts and that, they will be uploaded to YouTube and you'll be able to watch all of them there. And that. So if you guys did miss also what we talked about, we were just talking a lot about work-life events, how to deal with people like if we're passing and and just life experiences and that. But we're now going to be getting into the whole lockdown situation that's been going on for like 7-8 weeks now, and how that has affected people's mental health and that. So yeah, Owen, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think that lockdown has affected a lot of people in a lot of ways. I mean, I think a class that is fairly neglected in this country, actually, I find that the elderly are actually, I don't think they're looked after as well as they could be in society. I have a very dear friend, Shirley. She is mid-70s now, I'm not sure of her exact age, but she unfortunately has Parkinson's, and she lives on her own, and of course because of lockdown, we can't go and visit her at all. We can only really deliver her food and stuff because we can't run the risk of giving her corona. But because of that, she has just been so isolated. I think for her it's almost like she's died, because she has literally had virtually no social contact, and I think that having no social contact at all can just be utterly debilitating for people, because ultimately humans are very social creatures. We need to have a little bit of connection with the outside world and with people, and I think that this lockdown is really affecting people because they're just not getting what they need.
I feel that.
And I think it's scary. I think a lot of people are looking at how it's affecting young people and all of that, but I think the elderly are pretty much suffering the worst out of all of us, honestly. It's really bad.
Yeah, I mean, everyone, especially the beginnings of the lockdown, when deaths were rising, cases were rising. Yeah, it was a scary point. Everyone was just had to go into lockdown. It wasn't as bad as Italy that caught it very very. I mean, the reason Italy caught it much more is because the elderly population is a lot is more high than the UK, so that's why they got it really really badly. But so back on topic, we being in lockdown, as much as you can talk on Zoom and Discord, or gaming and that, you know, it doesn't. It's not really
same.
the same. It's not the same with being
It's
with
not the
your
same.
friends. It's about, you know, being in being in physical contact with people, not over, you know, technology and that,
over
which is still
technology, yeah.
great. Like, which is still, you know, if you haven't seen someone in ages and you need to, you know, if you want to Zoom call them or whatever, then great. Like, it's great to see them, but it'll just be it's just to get that energy, those energy vibes and that going on.
You know what I miss?
What do you miss, mate?
Hugs. I miss hugs.
Mate, do you know what? I'm not gonna lie. I do agree. I just miss a good old handshake or just a good old, like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just that kind of,
Fist bump and just that little bit of human contact, you know.
yeah.
Because that's what you don't get through electronic media. You don't get that physical contact, and I think that's almost one of the hardest things, you know, not being able to go and hug people. This lockdown here, I think it's gonna really change society.
Yeah.
I think
Oh,
that there's gonna be a
definitely.
lot of I think there's gonna be a lot of germophobic people that aren't gonna properly recover from this one, because
Oh,
they're just gonna be
definitely.
thinking what happens when
Definitely.
the next one hits. I should be preparing for that.
Yeah, I mean, this coronavirus, it's not gonna, you know, the coronavirus is something that it's never gonna, it's not just gonna go away. Like, it can only be controlled, and that's that's with a vaccine, of course. But even when the vaccine comes out, I still believe people are still going to be very cautious, which is understandable, because you know, as we all know, it only takes one person to then go and set it off again.
Well, exactly. It came from one person,
Yeah.
didn't it? Like,
I mean, as
yeah, go on, mate.
yeah, no, go. You want to roll?
Well, the thing is, right, what I'm really worried about is that I genuinely think we're easing this lockdown and coming out of this lockdown too early. For example, yes, the rest of Europe has,
yeah.
but I heard that the other day the entirety of Europe had 37 deaths and England alone had 350. And
Yeah.
I'm like, that is just not when we should be reopening schools. Like,
Yeah, I mean, look, this is the thing. You know, I'm staying on top of the news with this, and you know, as great as it is that deaths are coming down, cases are coming down. We're starting to fall into the becoming relaxed, and that's the most dangerous bit. And how Boris and how people have been explaining it is, you think of it as hiking like Mount Everest, going to the top, which is still, you know, extremely dangerous. You've got there, you're there basically. Now you got to come down, and how people die when coming down is getting way too relaxed, all of that, and then all of a sudden something can happen, and they're not prepared for it. So you got to come down very, very slowly, very, very gradually. And I agree with you, Owen. Schools should not be opening. I mean, I know that around the 15th of June, only year 6s and year 12s will be going back.
There's only a couple years going back, and I think when they do go back, it's going to be good. It's not going to be like schools just going to be completely back to normal. Like, they're going to have everyone as separated as possible by the sounds of things.
Yeah.
I just think that although I do think some kids need to go back to school, like the kids with the parents that, you know, live in the NHS.
Wait, so if they're saying year 12s are going, but because we are technically still in year 12. I just find it very, very pointless. I find it extremely pointless because I did see that what's it like when year 6 and 12 do go back, they will be finishing around July when their summer break comes in. What is the point? Like, I can understand some benefits of it, like seeing what would happen, but I don't think we're at that stage to monitor that yet, because you know, we still have cases, we've reached the 40,000 death mark now, so there are still deaths happening, there are still cases being caught. I don't think we need to focus, as much as we need to get the education back up, I don't think it's the time to reopen it. Donald Trump made a very, I think not the best statement in the world. I don't want to get into the whole American side of the coronavirus because that's a different story. They're doing they're doing worse than we are right now because, unfortunately, Donald Trump has not led them down the right path. That he hasn't.
He has not. I think that this coronavirus is going to be the end of Trump.
Yeah, no.
I think eventually, I think this is going to be a big thing in what leads up to that, because I just think that the people are going to realise that he didn't know what he was doing. Like, the amount of times he just didn't listen to his health advisors, it's like really bad.
Yeah, I mean, like, he said that. Now, there was a couple of things he said, which I think I mentioned yesterday's stream, podcast. Sorry, that Donald Trump said, and he said this, and I quote, I promise you, at the end of the year, we will have a vaccine. That is what Donald Trump said.
That's a lie.
And
that's a fucking lie.
And this is the thing, like, I know why he's doing it. He wants to relax people. He wants to, just calm people down. But you got to think about it. When it gets to the end of the year, when the vaccine should have come out, people are going to be like, okay, well, where's the vaccine? There's going to be no vaccine. The health advisor in the UK are saying that we're not going to have a vaccine potentially the next year or two. It's so you can't, there's no way America, especially the state they're in now, are going to get, because they haven't got enough data to go off by, because unfortunately Donald Trump has not controlled he hasn't controlled it well at all. He's saying that he wants to reopen schools first because, and I quote, he says, if schools are not open, America doesn't run. Which is, yes, it makes sense because it's not just America, but it's the same with UK, France. Like, if schools do not open, then the countries do not run as efficiently. But you're risking,
people's lives,
America's in a more worse condition than we are, and I think we're opening schools not at the right time, and we're in a better place than America is right now.
No, I agree. I think that part of America's problem is it has zero public healthcare system. Obviously, they have Obamacare, but that because Obamacare was implemented through I think a Republican Senate.
Yeah.
Or no, Democrat. Whichever the party was, it was the opposite to Obama. So they tried to make it as bad as possible. And they don't seem to understand in America that public healthcare, I think, is essential in every first world country. I think every country should have public healthcare. Don't get me wrong. I think every single country should.
Yeah.
I think every first world country that is like leading in stuff like how America is and how England is, I think everyone should have a public healthcare system. I think that should just be normal, and yet it costs a lot of money, but fundamentally, like, it takes power away from insurance companies. Like, the amount of stories, right, that I've heard where insurance companies will do everything they can not to pay your medical bills. They will do everything they can. And I think it's dirty, I think it's scummy, and I think it should be illegal, honestly. Like, apparently, there was a story of this woman that had something like stage 3, stage 4 pancreatic cancer. Of course, her medical bills for that are going to be high. Of course they are. And the insurance company, which she had spent so much money on, because obviously they bumped her premiums up because she has cancer, obviously. And then they turn around and go, we're not going to pay your medical bills. We're not going to do that because it's too much money. And then they made a business decision, got their lawyers in, won't pay our bills. And it's like, well, what the fuck are they paying you for then? I think people are just led by greed, especially in insurance companies. That's why it's fucked. We rely on them so much, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's just how the world is sometimes, man. It is not nice.
True.
But it's just how the world is.
Sometimes the world is really run by greed. Have you watched the show Mr. Robot, dude?
I haven't, no.
You should, because it's fantastic. Everyone out there should watch Mr. Robot, right? It is a show. It's on Amazon Prime. It's completely free. It's a show about the whole premise, right? Is that the entire economy is pretty much based off of the power of one company called E Corp, right? This company is like powerful, and a group of hackers, led by a guy called Elliot. They all pretty much take down this company, and also I think it's a really good representation of mental health and split personality disorder. Spoilers, shush. But I think that it's amazing for that, and I think where everyone was raving last year about how Joker was the best representation of mental health on film.
Yeah.
This isn't to say that Joker wasn't a fantastic representation, but I think Mr. Robot's also up there for sure. Is one of the best, and I think it's 100% worth the watch. Honestly, it's just a pretty badass TV show, to be honest. Yeah.
Well, with the whole coronavirus going on at the moment, and with the whole lockdown, it is nice to. Like, I don't know people watching where you are. If you're in the UK, then you'll know. But in the UK now, we now have the ability to go see. We can now go up to see people in groups of 6. I think that was especially when we all met up with our friends. It's just good to get out again, man. It's just nice to just. Especially
I think that was probably implemented about at the right time, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, because
I agree with that one.
Yeah, because me and Owen also went on the water. This was like 3-4 weeks ago for like the first time in a long time.
Yeah.
And this is the thing that I think ticked you off a little bit, Owen. But me and Owen live near the coast. Well, right. We live on the coast, and we're in a place where if it's sunny, it will get busy. It will get very, very busy. So, there'll be days if this coronavirus wasn't a thing, it never appeared, and the beautiful weather we've been getting, the beach will be packed. But with the coronavirus, with the coronavirus, no, come on. Even with the coronavirus in place and the whole social distancing, the first day we went out was okay. Like there was like maybe 3-4 groups max a beach, and there was still separating.
I think the majority of the beaches were like 2-3 though. I think I saw a lot of beaches where it was just like one group on either side of the beach, or it was like 3, maybe 4.
Yeah.
But I agree. I thought that was okay.
But then the next day came, and
the next day, oh god, yeah. No.
It was just like a typical summer's day, Everyone was just going about, and I think the reason that is I think people noticed the first day me and Aunt went out. I think other people noticed or figured out that people were going to the beach, and it's so hard to not go to the beach if the summer's really not if it's really hot, the sun's out, clear blue skies, calm water, high tide. If those events happen in the day, everyone's going to the beach. Obviously me and Owen were on the water, so we have all the distance in the world,
exactly. That's why I felt comfortable going out with you onto the water, because that was effectively just like when people go out cycling. Like there was a constant 2-meter minimum distance between us, because that's just the nature of how it goes on the water.
Yeah.
You don't really want to get close to the
even in general, you're staying a distance. Even if there's no coronavirus, you don't want to get too close. You want to have your own little bit of space on the water.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought that was fine, but when there were, and I'm not joking, 5 to 8 groups on one beach, and that was like minimum of 5 on every beach, it was like, no, it felt wrong. And just shortly after that, I went to go see my older brother on his birthday, up in Herne Bay, which is the town next to ours.
Yeah.
And that was insane. It was. There was no one there. There was no one there, and so like literally everyone had come to our town, and no one really had gone to Herne Bay. So I thought that was pretty funny actually.
Yeah, I mean, I saw the pictures, mate. It looked like you guys are having a blast and just enjoying life,
we had
which is
great time, mate. It was so good to see them because my older brother lives in another house. I haven't seen him this whole quarantine, and that was the longest we've ever gone without seeing Sab.
yeah.
Ever. So that was pretty interesting. That was lovely to get to see him again. You know.
Yeah, man. That's what it's about. Like, I'd rather.
Exactly.
It's just seeing family members. You know, like I think it's just we haven't seen a family member in that long of a time. And you're so close. It's just it's just like. I haven't seen you in a long. Yeah, it's just good vibes. You know, just really, 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 really cool vibes and that.
I agree. It was like it really makes you realize how much you really depend on family.
Yeah.
Like that's why I think I could never be an astronaut or anything like that, because that intense feeling of separation from your family.
Yeah.
Not just over like a country or a town, but like literally.
If you had the opportunity, if you had the opportunity to go to space, would you take it?
Maybe.
Like if someone came up to you and be like, right, listen, you'll have all your training free, all of that done, you're going to go to space. Would you take it?
How long would I be in space?
You'd be
okay.
Okay. Let's be reasonable. You'd be up for space for like 2 weeks. 2 weeks you'd be up for space for.
2 weeks? Yeah, I'd do that. 100% I'd do that. Yes, I'd do that. 100%.
Mate,
that's a no-brainer for me.
Tripping in space.
God, could you fucking imagine? Oh my god.
How hasn't that been a thing? That has. It's like
technically it's not illegal as well, because you're in internet, because your laws equate to international waters.
Yeah.
Which is basically where next to anything is legal.
Exactly. So
obviously I think piracy is illegal, so you can't steal a ship, you can't kill people. I presume.
I don't know. I've never.
I'm not a lawyer. I don't really know, but like, I'm pretty sure you could definitely do mushrooms on the International Space Station. Oh, that would be so sick.
Oh man,
I'm just trying to imagine having that as you will be forever known as the first man to trip bollocks in space.
Right, you want, because the thing is, because usually when you're tripping, you especially when I go high, I like to get on my phone and just look at visuals and that. You wouldn't need your phone. You just need to look out the window and just.
You've got the entirety of the vacuum of space. And you got the Earth and all that shit. I'm not going to be on my phone, I can tell you.
No, I ain't bringing my phone. Well, no, I probably would to get a couple of pictures on that, but that would be sick, mate.
I love that.
Yeah, I told you guys we do tend to go off topic, but the topics we talk about are they're just topics we like. But yeah, okay. So back on with the coronavirus. Yeah, so. Now lockdown is slowly easing off. Slowly.
Yeah.
I think just to wrap up the coronavirus. I hope it to be 1 second.
I'll take over. I hope that you guys are having a good time. If you want to put it in the comments, if you want to say anything, I can. I'm also watching the streams because I'm elsewhere, but I can answer some questions to that. I just hope that you all are, taking the time to relax, maybe learn new skills, stuff like that. I think it's important. I've been doing a lot of DIY work at home, which I think has helped. learning to do all that's been actually really fun. So learning new skills is awesome. I've recommended to a lot of people that if you haven't tried meditation, just download Calm. You know the Calm app? That's amazing for it. Or um, what's the other one? It's like Mindscape or something like that.
Oh,
Anyway,
I've heard of that. I've
download
heard
one
of
of
that.
those up. Oh, have you? Awesome.
Yeah.
And giving meditation a try. It's, for me anyway, it was really nice just before I went to sleep, just to meditate, for a little bit. And I think that's been a really nice skill that I've picked up over quarantine, because I've been doing that quite a bit. I'm just making the point, Jude, that if you guys are like feeling really bored, like a lot of people are, there's a lot of things in your time. Like, what have you been doing to keep yourself?
I mean, I've recently, I've been dancing, and that. Oh, we have another follow, Octo35, mate. Thank you very much for the follow. Welcome to the Chills Podcast. I hope you have a wonderful day, mate.
What's going on?
Octo35, yeah, welcome, mate. Thank you for joining the Chills Podcast, and we hope you're having a smashing day. Yeah, I don't know. I've been really focusing on. So at the start of the quarantine, I was just doing. I pretty much what everyone else was doing, just gaming, social media, just sitting aside and relaxing, really. But yeah, now so I've been doing dancing. So it's a new hip style of dancing. It's I don't know. It's kind of like. I wouldn't say people would think of it as robotic, but it's kind of not. It's kind of you're kind of pulsing to the beats of music and that, which is really, pretty cool. So that's something I got into, and I'm still doing now. Doing this podcast for some, setting up a podcast. This is something that This is something I've never really thought I'd do. I've tried to stream in the past, but it was gaming and that, and I'm just like, don't get me wrong, I do like to game, but. I don't think that's something I can stream and do. I like interacting with the audience and do you know what I mean? And just talking about interesting topics that are on my mind or things that are going on in the world, and just take people's mind away from reality just for a little bit.
I just think everything that's been going on this year is actually fascinating. We've had a lot of really bad stuff happen in a real short space of time. Like we went from having, we almost had a war with Iran, I swear, or something like that. And
that was.
Like we almost had, we had all the wildfires going on in Australia and Africa and everywhere, which I think is going to happen again this summer.
I mean, the heat is something that is. It's got so hot
already. It's so hot already. It was hot. It was so hot in May. Like I know that after. I mean, at the moment where we are, it's cooled down today and it's been raining and it's a bit windy. But I just know this is gonna pass in like 2 days. It's gonna be back to just baking in America.
Oh yeah.
What the fuck am I talking about? Baking outside,
Yeah. Unfortunately, boys, we will have to cut this stream very, very short today. I know this is a bit of a shock to you, but I've got there's some things happening and that I've been informed, and that. But we've got 5-10 minutes, and then we'll have to unfortunately end the stream.
Awesome.
But I will be live. I don't even. This is bad. I don't even know. I don't know my schedule. That's really bad. No. So. I will be live, believe it'll be Sunday around 2-3 p.m. We're hopefully going to be having another guest on our podcast, another friend on the podcast, and just talking about probably the same thing, something different, but we hope you guys did enjoy the podcast. And that I will leave some music on.
Real quick.
Go for it.
Yo, Octo35, I see your question, and yes, we do. And in spirit of that question, I'm going to have an in-spirit bong rip, so I will be right back. 1 second.
Right, let me just quickly... Right. in chat. Let's put you back. This thing is so. Yeah, but thank you guys so much for joining the stream, and yes, we'll be I'll be live again tomorrow around about 3 p.m. But yeah, all have a pleasant day, and I will see you on the next one. See you later on, man. Have a good one.
You too, man.